Good morning. Good morning. Before officially beginning, I want to make sure that the sound is okay on St. Croix and that you can hear me here. The fact that no one is saying anything now. Well, good morning. As we launch another academic year and as I begin the start of my third 5-year term as president, I want to first welcome our new faculty, administrators, and staff who are joining us for the first time. We are extremely excited to have you in our midst, and we are very confident that you will only enhance one of the most unique institutions of higher education in the country. As we start this year, I also, though, want to thank those who are returning or never left for your dedication, hard work, creativity, and service to this institution. As I shared with the cabinet recently, the Board of Trustees' willingness to ask me to continue as president is a testament to the faculty, staff, administrators, and students who each day make this impressive and special institution even better. The board's faith in me is really a statement about their faith in you. And it is compelling evidence that we are on the right path and that we are supporting and attracting the right people. So from the depths of my heart, I appreciate your contributions to this institution, and I am extremely proud of what we have achieved together in the last 10 years. I also want to thank and recognize my wife, Marilyn, who is present today. Her support makes it possible for me to continue as president, and she is as committed to this institution and to these Virgin Islands as I am, if not more so. Recently, a local restaurant owner shared with us that her fiance wanted to make sure that she had invited us to their wedding. He couldn't remember my name, so he said to his fiance, "You know, that tall guy from UVI with the beautiful wife." I cannot dispute the factual accuracy of this statement, but after 10 years of working to have an impact on this community, I am known best by the beauty and brilliance of my wife. Even more so from St. Louis. The State of the University address is an opportunity for us to launch the year together as a community. It is also an opportunity for me to update you on various developments and share some of our collective aspirations for the year. But more importantly, it is a sacred time for me through words to create an institutional mirror so that we can more clearly see ourselves and get a glimpse of what we aspire to become. The mirror that I hope to hold up in front of you today is the creative soul of UVI. The essence or soul of this place is what allows us to fulfill our mission, exceed our expectations, and make a difference in the lives of our students and each other. Every year there are things we achieve or overcome that lets us see the quality and creativity of the UVI soul. That creative spirit that lies at the bottom of our institutional well ushered forth last year, and it allowed us to make history and to start a new era for this university. The free tuition policy did not just drop from the sky. It was brought into existence through the creative, strategic planning, analysis, and advocacy on our part, and the unequivocal support from former Governor Mapp, then Senator, and now Lieutenant Governor Roach, and the 32nd Legislature. We made history by being the first HBCU in the nation to have such a policy, and only the second jurisdiction in the nation to apply it to four-year degrees. As we anticipated, this policy is already having a positive impact on the institution. As of yesterday, our overall enrollment was up 8% from last year, the largest one-year growth we have experienced since I have been here as president. Our new student numbers, including transfers, are up by an astounding 28%. Which is unheard of in higher education. For the first time in a long time, we are up in regards to returning students and new students at the same time. In 1 year, we have almost returned to our pre-hurricane enrollment levels. As of yesterday, we were only 27 students shy of being where we were before Irma and Maria blew away close to 400 students. Not literally, but. And though I am thankful and I applaud the excellent and enhanced work of our Access and Enrollment Services team under the leadership of David Winnie, I think they would be the first to admit that the free tuition policy is what is driving more students our way and helping us retain more students. And once we implement our academic boost program for 10th grade students and for those who are with us who do not have a 2.5 GPA, I anticipate that we will have even larger numbers in the future. But the creative soul of an institution is not just measured and developed in times of progress and growth, but in moments of challenge and tragedy. I have seen over and over again how this community responds to personal loss, health challenges, and professional setbacks with such grace, care, and creativity. We will launch this year the Center for Resiliency and Sustainability, not just because of the excellent work of Kim Waddell and Greg Winnell in securing $4.9 million grant from FEMA, but also because this institution has a creative and resilient soul. We know what it means to live in hell for a moment and then make heaven our home. We want this center to serve as the same source for the entire territory and region, so that we are not only better able to prepare for and respond to natural disasters from an infrastructure perspective, but also from an economic, social, and emotional perspective. We also know that the soul of an institution is a repository of small acts of kindness. When our employees lose loved ones, face family and financial challenges, we are there because our collective soul demands that we do so. Another goal in the strategic plan calls for us to institutionalize the UVI Rise Fund, which was created during the hurricanes, so that we can continue to support employees and students in times of need. And due to a $100,000 gift from the Nation of Islam, we have achieved this goal, and we will be unveiling this year a program through which we can better support each other in moments of need. The quality of our collective soul demands that we all take better care of ourselves. Though our work is important and demanding, our lives and your health are even more important. Though I applaud the efforts of Cigna and the local government to have after-work wellness activities, and our own Vita Richards has been an anchor for this effort. The Board of Trustees has approved a pilot program where UVI employees will be allowed to take time during the workday to engage in organized and individual wellness activities. We will initiate this pilot program this year and report back to them about the impact and downside of the program. The message behind the pilot is that we must invest in your health just as you invest every day in the health of this institution. Having lived with Marilyn for 30 years and feeling her instincts, I know she is asking me to bring the mic closer to me. Excuse me? Okay, thank you. Can it be lifted?
You can feel it all the way up.
Since we have a pause in the action, I also was made aware that now I'm getting all of these signals. You want it up higher? The podium up higher. Oh boy. The state of the university is that we need to make some adjustments.
That's right, no.
St. Croix can see me better now? Thank you for that. Acknowledge her and thank her for making And so, because I was talking about something that the board did, I'm going to go back. The quality of our collective soul also demands that we take better care of ourselves. And though our work is important and demanding, your lives and your health are even more important. Though I applaud the efforts of Cigna and the local government to have after-work wellness activities, and our own Vita Richards has been an anchor in this effort. The board has approved a pilot program where UVI employees will be allowed to take time during the workday to engage in organized and individual wellness activities. We will initiate the pilot this fall and report back to them about the impacts and downsides of the program. The message behind the pilot is that we must invest in your health just as you invest every day in the health of this institution. This new academic year must build on the success of last year so that we can propel ourselves even further down the road to greatness. There are some exciting things to look forward to that I believe captures this creative spirit and soul of UVI. As you know, our new strategic plan, Greatness Through Innovation, requires that we create a $1 million innovation fund to be used to generate innovative revenue-generating or cost-saving initiatives. Due to the generosity and support of the foundation of the University of the Virgin Islands, we were able to secure the commitment for the $1 million and was able to fund 3 projects. We had 8 very creative proposals from different individuals and units throughout the institution, and the committee had a hard time selecting 3 of them, but we did, and they were each awarded approximately $100,000. The first one funded was from Professor David Morris, entitled STEM Educational Opportunities in the Tourism Sector at the Edelman Observatory, which will market and bring tourists to this cutting-edge facility. Wow. This scientific diamond that sits on a hill out of sight will now become a destination point for cruise ship passengers and others who visit the territory. The second one, by Professor Sanai Aptis, is entitled A Mariculture or Aquaculture Production Facility for Scallops, which will create first a pilot program and then a full commercial facility and operation for raising and selling scallops. I can see the branding now. UVI, free tuition and scallops at that. The third project is the development of a creativity lab on both campuses, which will train UVI personnel and students, and will train for a fee government and private entities on the strategies of creative thinking. This project was proposed by the team of Camille, McKayle, Nick Drayton, and Leslyn Tung. Please join me in congratulating these inaugural I encourage each of you to start thinking now about the innovative revenue-generating idea that you want to propose, because in the spring we will have the next round. The last project, the Creativity Lab, will be extremely valuable to the implementation of the strategic plan, since all units, according to our strategic plan, will have to go through a self-assessment innovation exercise this year, and the Creativity Lab will be an asset in that process. And though I cannot share the details now, we have some exciting incentive programs associated with this exercise, which we hope will not only benefit you, but will inspire you to take this process seriously. The soul of an educational institution certainly turns on how we treat and care for our students. There are a number of new projects that we will launch or unveil this year that will enhance the quality of life for our students. Students have expressed concerns about not being able to effectively track their progress towards graduation. Working with VP Charlene Harris and other members of IT and Student Affairs and Student Services, Access and Enrollment Services, we have agreed to secure the best software platform in the market called DegreeWorks, which will be implemented this year and will enable our students to know clearly, electronically, where they stand in regards to their degree program and when they need to make adjustments. Due to the generosity of VI USED and Dr. Kimberly Mills, we will be able to expand our laptop loaner program this year so that students will be able to borrow laptop computers overnight, over the weekend, and for other extended hours. Each library will now have 20 new laptops for the loaner program. explore the idea of a university-wide laptop program for students. This creative expansion of the loaner program will ensure that more of the technology needs of our students are met without them having to pay anything more. And due to a grant from Title III, our innovation centers will have a mobile innovation component so that students, no matter where they are, can utilize the resources of the innovation center. We also hope to connect the two centers so that they can interact with each other. And I want to thank Mark Boumediene and Tim Faley for proposing this innovative and creative idea, and want to thank Dale Barry for getting it approved at the Department of Education. The Creative and Innovative Child Care Center project will launch this fall on St. Thomas. It is already ready for our students' children, and the one on St. Croix in the late fall. Under the auspices of the School of Education, and also funded by Title III, this innovative early education diagnostic center will be a model for enhancing early childhood education throughout the territory, and it also eases some of the burden of our students who are parents. To nurture the soul of our students, we must make their lives and educational journey much easier. I am proud to announce that there were no long lines at the cashier on St. Thomas. The creative work on the part of our staff in access and enrollment services and in the cashier area was more efficient and less burdensome for our students, and they certainly appreciate it. When their lives are less cumbersome, their spirits, and I believe their grades, soar. This is an area, though, from an institutional perspective that we must do a better job. There are still too many inefficiencies and delays in our operation. We hurt our creative soul when things get stuck in our system and people are left waiting for simple transactions to be completed. Some of this is due to us being understaffed in certain areas, and that is a very real challenge. But some of it is just our lack of clear and consistent communication and our reliance on antiquated paper processes. We must change. We must get better. Our soul demands it. One of the areas we are committed to addressing this year is enhancing the infrastructure needs and support for our researchers and principal investigators. Based on the support again from FUVI, we will be adding 2 new grant contract personnel in the accounting area. Under the new leadership of Stacy Chados, we are seeing progress, and we want to continue to improve and enhance our operation in this area. The Office of Sponsored Program is now fully staffed, and we are glad to have Mindy Sullivan in our midst and leading that effort. And we are also in the process of reviewing the Akura peer review study that has now been turned over to us, which has numerous recommendations that we hope to implement if feasible. I want to applaud at this time all of our principal investigators and researchers who contribute so much to this institution and has made us one of the leading HBCUs in the nation in securing external research dollars. One of those grants that we tend to take for granted but needs highlighting is the $15.5 million census grant from the Department of Commerce, obtained yet again by Dr. Frank Mills. We are the only university in the nation that conducts the census for the jurisdiction within which it resides, and we are honored for that. Academic programs are always at the center of our creative soul. It is not just what we teach, but how we teach and care for our students. I am so impressed when I meet with graduating seniors each year and hear their stories about how various faculty members played such a critical and transformative role in their success. These are the stories that indicate to us that our soul, the soul of our teaching, is at a good place, and we must do more of it. There are some new academic programs that we will be pursuing and refining this year, and I want to thank the faculty first for approving the Masters in Social Work program last year, but the accreditation are admitting students in the fall. We, with your help, are looking forward to adding a new program, an academic program, in the area of agriculture. We hope to be appointing a Dean of Agriculture soon, and that person will pursue a plan for the development of certificates and degree programs in agriculture. And we look forward to working collaboratively with the faculty and the administration to address this critical need that exists in the territory, which the legislature and the governor has recognized by funding the program. Our reconfigured cell program is in the process of developing a culinary arts vocational offering that we hope will be available in January and will be a companion to our outstanding hospitality and tourism program in the School of Business. I know you have been on this faith journey with me in regards to the medical school project. And I thank you and the board for your faith in this vision. One aspect of that vision will materialize this academic year. We will complete the Simulation Center on St. Croix this academic year and make it operational shortly thereafter. We are already reviewing resumes and conducting interviews for the director position. The medical school classroom building should be completed on our St. Thomas campus by late December. And we will be exploring with our academic leaders the various programs and initiatives we will temporarily house there until the medical school is ready to open. The RT Park building on St. Croix is scheduled to be completed in late fall, and we look forward to moving our science and math faculty back into that facility. We had hoped for it to be ready by now, but we are grateful for the oversight and leadership that Ms. Washington has brought to this very complex building process. The process towards rebuilding our campuses should speed up in this coming year. Our goal is to bring at least 5 buildings back online by this time next year. I have come to realize that the rebuilding from hurricanes is a slow process. It is a marathon and not a sprint. And I want to thank Mr. Charles Martin on this campus and Ms. Narita Washington on the St. Croix campus for guiding us through this marathon process and for the improvements that we are already seeing in buildings that were not taken offline. If you have a good soul, you may be reluctant to brag about it. And that, I think, is part of UVI's problem. We are better than what people know about us. And thus, we must do a better job telling our story. Due to the creative work of our institutional advancement team led by VP McKayle, we conducted a branding study this past spring, and we will unveil a new branding strategy this fall for UVI, which includes the resurrection of the UVI magazine and other ways to promote our value proposition to the public. There are many other programs and initiatives that I could mention, but I do not want to keep you until midnight. In conclusion, an institution with a creative soul is a place where people want to come to work, not because of paychecks and benefits, but because of what it gives to those who enter. When it gives us the license, the power, and the permission to dream, explore, and do new things, then work becomes meaningful and it feeds our individual soul. I have always dreamed of being part of an institution that was courageous enough to place soulful matters right next to intellectual matters and see what beauty can unfold. 10 years ago, when I gave this address for the first time, I shared with those in attendance one of my favorite poems. 10 years later, I hold up the mirror so that we can reflect upon the creative soul of UVI, and I want to share it again because I believe it not only captures the soul of UVI, but it captures what we are trying to become. The poem is simply entitled, The Invitation. It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. Doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your own sorrow. If you have been opened by life's betrayal or have become shriveled and closed from the fear of future pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine and yours, without moving to hide it, or fade it, or fix it. I want to know if you can be with joy, mine and your own. If you can dance with wildness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes, without cautioning us to be careful, to be realistic, to remember our limitations of being human. It doesn't interest me if the story you are telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself. If you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul. If you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. I want to know if you can see beauty even when it's not pretty every day. And if you can source your own life from its presence. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand at the edge of the lake and shout to the silver of the full moon, yes. It doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after the night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, and do what needs to be done to feed the children, or I would add, to inspire our students. Doesn't interest me who you know or how you came to be here. I want to know if you will stand in the center of the fire with me and not shrink back. Doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you have studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else fails. I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments. If we as individuals and UVI as a collective can accept this life invitation, if we could embody this mandate, if we could embrace both the creativity and the power of this poem, then we can change not only the nature of this university, but we can change the nature of this territory. We are at an inflection point, and the train has already left the station. The only question for us is, do you want to come along for the ride? This poem is called an invitation, and I am inviting all of us to unleash our collective and individual creative souls and come along for the ride and make this year the most outstanding year in the history of UVI. If we believe that, then a wind stronger than Irma and Maria combined will rush through our campuses and create a successful transformation that we could never imagine. I have been to the mountaintop. I have seen the soul of UVI, and it is creative and it is good. Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for the indulgence on some of the technical issues. As always, I am willing to take questions from both campuses and try to answer them as best I can. We start with St. Croix. Yes. I can't hear. If you could maybe stand up and speak.
Are you wanting to bring back man up?
Was the question, are we going to bring back man
Yes,
up?
they have muted. If you can hear us, they have muted your side, so they need to unmute.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
We can hear you now.
Okay.
Yes.
Was the question, are we planning to bring back man up?
Yes.
Yes. We definitely want to, as a university. I am in the process of meeting with the new Commissioner of Education, and that will be one of the issues that we will put on the table, along with this other effort that I mentioned. The free tuition policy allows us to use some of those funds to work with the high schools to bring students up to the 2.5 level. So I'm going to put that on the table, but I also will put Man Up on the table. I will also put Junior University, which was another program we had for a while that just disappeared. It was funded by the Department of Education, which is what allowed us to go forward with it. And it was a program for 7th grade males. And so we hope to put all three of those things and other issues on the table. If they are willing to work with us, we certainly would like to do it. It would be hard for us to do Man Up without the cooperation of the Department of Education. We could do something on a more scaled down level, but we need their support, and so I'm hoping I can secure that support from the new commissioner of the Department of Education. St. Thomas, we'll just go back and forth. Any questions here? Yes.
Good morning, Dr. Hall and the UVI community. My question is, Dr. Hall, could you explain more to us about this creativity lab?
More about the what?
Creativity lab.
Well, I should really ask the person who proposed it to come forward and elaborate on it. And I will. I will just say, because I was on the committee that reviewed the proposal, as you know, we have a PhD in creative leadership and innovation for change. And what that program has done is exposed us to a whole new field called creative leadership, creative thinking. And we are training students who are pursuing their PhD in this field. They are learning a lot, not only from our faculty members, but from leaders in the field. And we want a place where they can take what they have learned and put it into practice. We have other individuals like Provost McKayle, like Nick Drayton, who have taken classes or are taking classes in that field. And so we want to use those resources to help people understand that creativity and creative thinking is not just something that happens in the shower, though it does happen there, but that it is a mindset. There are things you can do that can help facilitate that, and that's what we hope the lab might do.
Best possible school for him to attend. So when I heard from the creative lab, I was like, okay, this sounds good.
But it will not be restricted just to PhD students. We believe that this is a process and a perspective that individuals, no matter what their age, can start embracing. Our primary focus is going to be at the college level and at the institution level, but we, as I indicated, believe that governmental entities need to start thinking more creatively as they grapple with the problems that exist in the territory, that private companies have the same needs. And so that will be the focus, but and I don't want to speak for Provost McKayle, but if there's a possibility of working with a high school or working with students at a younger age about this process, I'm sure they would be open to trying to do that. Okay, thank you for your question. Back to St. Croix.
There's a question.
Yes.
Dr. Zimmerman.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me over there?
Yes, we can.
Okay. In light of what you're saying about health and wellness, and also the legislation that was passed on medical cannabis, is UVI going to relook at the smoking policy on campus, smoking 20 feet from a building? Are we going to ban smoking? Are we going to have designated smoking areas, or maybe move it 100 feet from a building? If I get a certificate to have legal, for eye problems, if I have medical cannabis, can I just smoke outside from a building?
There's a part of that I fully understood. There was a part of it about cannabis that I probably didn't fully understand. But we have not made any decisions that we are going to change our policies about how far from a building a person has to be in order to smoke. I do think if that is causing a problem for other individuals at the institution, that we should be made aware of it, and made aware of it in a systematic way so that we can do something. On the cannabis front, at least the legislation as I understand it is medicinal use of marijuana. And I would say that if that infrastructure is put in place and is operating in the territory, if someone has been medically approved to use cannabis, then they should be able to use it at work, because it is just like one of us taking an aspirin or taking some other medication. Excuse me? One comment or question at a time. So, and if I didn't fully answer your question, Dr. Zimmerman, I'll try to come back with some clarity. Yes, St. Thomas?
Yeah, I was curious if you could share some of the key outcomes from the NCUR review, and also let us know when that will be shared with faculty.
Yes. We only recently received it, or at least I have. It came while I was on vacation, and so I have seen it, and I, as always, when you get those things, flip to the list of recommendations and saw that there were a whole lot of them, but the administration has not had a chance to review those recommendations, and I have not had a chance to review the full report. But you can rest assured that once we have, not only will we share it with the principal investigators and the community, anyone who would like to see it, but we would like to, after, when we share it, to say, these are the recommendations we feel we can implement, and these are the ones we think are just beyond our resources or whatever. So that's something that the Provost, VP Lake King, and I do plan to sit down and go through in the early part of this semester. Back to St. Croix, the Cannabis Haven. I see a hand. I see a hand.
It's the top. Sorry.
I didn't really understand the last part of your question about whether you're going to table the part with smoking and get back to it later, because there's still some mix about the smoking. So I think that, I don't know if I understand you rightly, whether you're going to rest it and come back later, or whether you need more to do on that question. But it didn't kind of clearly to me.
Yeah, on the first part of it, what I was saying is that we presently don't have any plans to address it. I mean, until the question was raised, I wasn't aware that it is a problem for some of our employees. So what I was saying is, if it is a problem, please let us know so we can look at what our present policy is. If both campuses really feel this is a problem, please let us know, and we will look at it. So that was the response that I was sharing, because we don't want to direct time and energy to an area when it's really not something that people are concerned about. So if there is a concern, let us know, and we will certainly consider it. Yes, St. Thomas?
Could you please tell us a little bit about plans for service learning? I was very glad to find out that Ms. Julie Cruz told me she'll be working with that. We had a grant for that several years ago, and it went, for a while it was very active. I'm sure you're going to address that.
No, but I'm just going to ask the Provost to come up and address that now, because it is.
I was really delighted.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So I'm addressing service learning. I didn't wear my heels today. So service learning is part of our current Title III grant project. It has been for the past year. I think we've had persons doing service learning. We're trying to approach it from Science 100 and Social Science 100 perspective to ensure that every student, every freshman student has an opportunity. If there are any thoughts that faculty has on the area, please share it. But that was one of the ways that we were trying to fulfill Goal 2A of the previous strategic plan, which also calls for us to graduate students who are prepared to serve the world. I will say, though, from our KPIs, our key performance indicators, when we look at our NESI, which is, oh boy, I'm using a National Student Engagement, National Survey for Student Engagement, one of the things that we did note is that our students at the freshman level and also at the graduating level feel, or their perception is that they are participating in service learning. Yes, and it is well above 90%. We also had indication that our faculty feel that it's important, and 70%, my numbers might be off, but there is a large percentage of faculty who themselves are already participating in service learning. In fact, our numbers show that our students participate in service learning at a much higher level than the national average. So we are already doing great service to service learning, but we can do more.
St. Croix?
Hands. None this round.
Okay. St. Thomas, additional questions? Well, I again want to, Marilyn, do you have a question?
No.
I've addressed all of your concerns. I want to thank all of you for being here today. This is always a special way for us to start the academic year off together. I know this institution is not perfect, and we all know that there's so many things that we want to improve. But even though the institution is not perfect, we have a perfect soul. Bring respect to each other more, even when we disagree, even when we know something is not working like we think it should. Then I'm convinced that we can really move this institution forward. And the only way we can do that is with all of us collectively. I enjoy being president, and one of the reasons I enjoy being president is because of what all of you do and the creativity that comes with working with a team of individuals trying to move things forward. So I wish all of you a wonderful academic year, and I look forward to us celebrating even more accomplishments in the future. Thank you very much.